I'm going to go over the questions that Stephen has mentioned. So the first one was adding a default option in the switch statements. So far we have if-else statements that we've gone over, and we've also gone over switch statements as well. But I want you guys to understand how the default statements work as well. So the default statements work in the same way as the else statement in the if-else chain. So if you guys have if, something, blah, blah, blah is true, else, something. What does the else mean? Can anyone tell me? If not this, then this, right? If everything else is false, then else will be what's run. So again, if all the other options are false, then else will run. So that means else is essentially going to be anything else that didn't follow the requirements put into the other if statements. The same thing happens now with these switch statements. So if you have a series of switch statements, so let's say you have something like this, right? You have case 1, case 2, and now let's say that you're saying, okay, if it's not case 1 or case 2, then it's going to be this default statement. And the default fills in that else that didn't exist in this switch statement before. And that's all it is. Does that make sense now? So default, you're going to put, whatever else. And you don't need a break over here because that's the end. That's the last statement. All right, so now let's go to the next one. What does the next one say? The next one on there? Pattern. Early pattern. There we go. Okay. So this one is saying when a return statement is reached, the execution of the current function stops and control returns to the calling location. So what this is referring to is that the return statement will say return whatever value you give me in this return statement and stop the execution of code at this point. Any code run after this point will not run. Return is saying like whatever programming was run here, make that programming run, but when you get to this return part, that is all that's going to get returned back to this function. So you can do a bunch of calculations up here and then save them into variables and then return those variables. You can only return one value though, so it should, come back to one value in this return statement. And it gets returned back to this function. So in this case, they're saying when a return statement is reached, blah, 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 modify the function A/B test so that if A or B are less than 0, the function will immediately exit with a value of undefined. So he's saying if A is less than 0 or or B is less than 0, the function will return undefined. So let's see if that works. There you go. Well, you might have put it into quotes. Undefined is a keyword. A lot of people make this mistake. Well, let me see what's going on. Oh, you did. Remember what I just said? Did you put the undefined keyword into quotes? Because if you put it into quotes, what does it become? What kind of data type does the object become? It becomes a string, exactly. So if you take out the quotes, then it's either a variable or a keyword. Keywords are very rarely used. In this case, it's being used. All right, what does the next one say? All right, sorry, does anyone have questions about this so far? This one was pretty complicated because the return statement can get a little, like people are like, wait, why do you have to return a value, right? So to return a value means that, let's say in a function that you wanted to do some calculations, you wanted to make some stuff happen, and then at the end of that, you save all those calculations into a variable, and then you return whatever's in that variable. You return that value. So it's like, I did some calculations, now give me back the answer to this. So you want that answer to be returned to you, right? It's almost like a calculator. You want a function has two different ways of being used, right? One way is as a wrapper, meaning that you want to execute that code just as it is. The second is that you use it for input and output. You're putting in some input and you're getting back some output. The output getting returned to you is that's the output. So same thing. Again, if you guys have done math before, this is the same thing as the f of x function. I need a cooler looking mic. This just, I swear, I feel like tech support right now. I'm slowly starting to get into an accent. Like, okay, no problem. Okay, yes, fine. Yes, okay. Turn it off, turn it on again. Okay. Is it plugged in? No, sir, I'm not an asshole. What's the next one? Okay. Assessing object properties, bracket notation. There we go. Accessing. Okay. So let's say that you wanted to access a property of an object, right? So you're trying to access the property called an entree from this object called test object. To do that, let's say it says read the values of the properties an entree. So let's do that. So let's try and get an entree. So you do test object and uses bracket notation, and you just put an entree, and that's it. Now that'll give you the value. What will it give you back into this variable called entree value? Exactly. It'll give you back hamburger. And if I change this to my side, what would it give you? Yes, exactly. And if I put the drink? Exactly. Perfect. Okay, and what's the next one? Okay. So object variables. No, accessing property. Sorry, I clicked the wrong one. Now this is going to be very similar, except that you're saving the value or you're saving the property into a variable, and then you're putting it in using bracket notation. So you're saying var player number, and let's say that you're trying to get number 16. So you're getting the property called 16. So this, we're just saying, okay, this variable is going to be equal to 16, right? Now we're going to do test object and just put player number in here. And what do you think this will give you? What's inside player now? That's player number is 16. So then test object 16 will give you what? Exactly. So player will be Montana. So what's the next one? Updating object properties. Okay, so if you want to update any object's properties, how would you go about doing that? There's two ways of doing that. One is using the dot operator, or the other one is using bracket notation, right? So if I wanted to use dot notation, I could update my dog object's name property. So let's say we want to change my dog. So we have this my dog object over here, correct? And we want to change its name property, so just dot name. And we want to change it from coder to happy coder. So let's change that. And it's simple as that. You can either use dot or bracket notation. So I could have done this. But in this case, there's no spaces, so I might as well just use dot notation. It's easy to read. So my dog dot name equals happy coder. Now I just changed this. So now the property of name is going to be equal to what? Exactly. Perfect. All right. So now I'm going to have you guys do an in-class assignment. So if someone can get the lights, please. So I'll give you guys 20 minutes. And this will be ample amount of time. And I want you guys to do the next two assignments. So these are in-class assignments. One is going to be creating a function. And you guys are going to create a function that takes two parameters. Make these two parameters concatenate each other if the arguments are words, and add to each other if the arguments are numbers. call a function, and pass 2 relevant arguments to the function. That's going to be one in-class assignment. I'll give you guys some extra time too, because we're also going to do another in-class assignment. Again, these aren't worth any points. These are just for you guys to help understand and learn. You guys are going to create an array to hold your 5 favorite things to do in string form. Don't worry, I won't judge you at all. One of my favorite things to do is watch anime and paint Warhammer 40k figures. So whatever you guys are into, you guys are into. Create another array of your 5 favorite things to eat, again in string form. Okay? Now let's say we wanted to copy the elements from one array to another. Instead of trying to manually copy elements from using the push method one by one, we're going to use a loop. Create a loop that will add all the elements from your favorite things to eat array to your favorite things to do array. And again, I give you guys examples of what an array looks like and what the for loop looks like. And once you're done, just do a console output of the array. So I'll give you guys about 30 minutes to 40 minutes to work on that. And I'm going to pause.